we are here with another hoot and the yearly tradition, a traditional feature of Andover High School with Harry Durso. And next month is Lawrence High School, June 13th. So, I still hear a little hum here. There we go. All right, without further ado, if Harry will do the honors, fire up Andover High School.
I'm getting there. Can everybody hear me? Everybody hear me okay? All right, thank you for coming tonight. This is a special occasion for us for many reasons tonight, which I'll get into. But I want to thank everyone who's here tonight for coming. It's very important to me and to the people who do this that we have a successful night tonight, so thank you for coming. I have a few things I have to say first. I'd like to thank Cafe Azteca for having us here tonight. Great place. We enjoy coming here for all the Robert Frost activities. They've been welcoming to us, and obviously everybody tonight had a nice time here so far, so that's great. So tonight we have teachers and students from Andover High School. We have some guests from Lawrence High. We have all the poets from the Robert Frost Foundation. We have their poets, and we have some poets from Don's Auto Care, who's the only garage that has a poet society built in to the garage. We don't quite know how that happened, but there are poets who actually recite their poetry at the garage. So we want to thank everybody for coming in. Okay? I want to thank Ray Landry. Ray, raise your hand. Ray Landry and the entire board here of the Robert Frost Foundation, who invite us here every year. It's a great honor for us to be here, and thank you all for having us tonight. I want to thank Don Michaud. Don Michaud behind. Raise your hand, Don. Don's a little shy. Don's been sponsoring this poetry night for 8 years. That's how much he believes in what we're doing here tonight. He was with Mark and I the day that this occurred. Mark was having his car fixed. He had a Ford Fiesta that's sort of a memorial now at the garage that sort of lived there. And as Don was fixing it one day, I was talking about the students in Andover High, and he says, look, why don't you have them come one night? I'm sure they'll be very good at poetry, and we can have them there. Don jumped right in. I'll back it. I'll sponsor it. Before long, Joe jumped in with the TV part, and we were rolling. 8 years this has been running. So thank you, Don, for all your work and for everything. As people read tonight, you can go to the table and you'll get a Don's Auto Care pen and a calendar, which is a tradition that Mark Shaw started. So right over there at that table. I'd like to thank Joe Spanos and Joe Spanos Productions, who's sitting right there. He's both right there for shooting tonight. This show is going to be on cable in Andover, Lawrence, and Methuen. A lot of people see it. It's a joy for me to hear the feedback from people in the community, and thank you, Joe, for doing it. His lovely wife, Bethany, edits this. Takes a long time. And she also designed our new poster, which is right behind me, which is absolutely gorgeous. A hand for Bethany on the poster. And in the back there, we have Eric Pellerin. Eric, can you get up? Can you stand up? Eric is an English teacher at Andover High School, but he's more than that. He's one of my dearest friends. I enjoyed teaching with him and for many, many years at Andover High School. And he's a teacher that you want to emulate because he really loves his kids. He's in there. You see Shakespeare, the kids have capes on, they're running around, they're doing it. And he just is a great all-around guy to have in the school system. I thank you, Eric. Puts all this together in Andover High. Eric, round of applause for Eric Pellerin. And I'd like to thank tonight someone who can't be here. Mark Shore. Unfortunately, and for us, a great loss, Mark passed away in January. We're dedicating tonight to him because the soul of tonight really came from him. And the first thing Don said is, let's dedicate it to Mark Shore. And in fact, he insists that all the end of high school poetry nights will be dedicated to Mark Shore, as long as we decide to have them. So we'd like to make a little round of applause for that. It's very hard to discuss a lot about losing someone like Mark, and I'm not going to do that. We're going to do it by honoring him by doing this tonight. I hope everybody realizes that. It's not a time for memorials, it's time to act. Because all he was about was doing things. When I met him at the garage, he talked to me about nothing trivial, ever. It had to be something serious. What do you think of this? What do you think of Chaucer? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? He wore me out. It was unbelievable. But one of the things I learned from Mark is that you only have so much time. And if you're going to do something, you have to do it all the time. Be active in your minds. And tonight, we're hopefully doing that. And one of the things that I want to emphasize tonight, which is one of Dawn's tenets in this, and Mark's as well, and mine, is that these students are free to say anything they want. There aren't any restrictions. We don't look at anything ahead of time. There's no contest. There's no review. This is pure platform for them to say whatever they want. So when they come up here tonight, please respect the fact they're taking a chance and sharing their thoughts with their society, which I think is going to help us save our country. If we listen to one thing tonight that's new, we're going to do that. We're going to save our country. So let's listen to them. Okay, so everybody with me so far? All right. When I didn't realize, I was on the phone leaving a voicemail for Mark, and if you knew Mark Shore, unless he picked up the phone when you called him, it sort of was iffy if you were going to get him again until the next time he picked up the phone. So it's not unusual to leave a lot of voicemails for Mark, because he was always teaching, always busy, always traveling. So I knew that. So I had left a series of voicemails and emails for him over the course of several weeks. And I was on the phone leaving the message when his obituary showed up on my smartphone and just clicked in front of me. And it had been held for several weeks, and I didn't know what to do. Because here I am on the phone on his voicemail, leaving a voicemail for him, and I realized he was gone. So I wrote a few poems that day. I hope you'll bear with me, and then we'll get right to the kids, okay? Hold on 1 second now. The first one's called No More Emails. It is okay to be sad when someone is no longer here. What do we do with the emails? The phone messages not responded to. How do you get a message out when there is no one there? How do you deal when a life appears to be just a few lines in a tired newspaper? How can you say goodbye or share a joke or say something kind? The silence is deafening, the sadness unkind, the result uncomfortable. It happens, but it shouldn't. It is sad that we become alone at the wrong time. That is always, always wrong. That's the first one. Thank you very much for that. The second one is called A Poet's Heart. How do you mourn a poet? His poems still speak as they call out to us from dusty pages. They twist and turn in our minds, words popping and steering us to a better place. How do you mourn a poet? There are no gravestones for poems. They speak to us in our dreams, comforting us in darkness. They light the love spark. How do we mourn a poet? Poems do not expire. They never say goodbye. There is no need for flowers or tears. The poems are calling us now. How do we mourn a poet? Poems only need to be read to live. All we need to do is thank the poet for showing us that God still smiles when we speak to heaven with words from a poet's heart. That's the second one. Thank you so much. I hope Mark's listening to this stuff because this is hard to do. All right, the last one is to Mark directly. It's called Mark's Poem. We'll read the books of poems lovingly crafted. We respect his love of Frost, a poet he revered and cherished. We will ask the students to continue to recite their poems with joy and pain. We will celebrate the joy of well-crafted words. Mark's quiet encouragement for us all to write forever, so that he will be remembered in all the work that comes to us, as he takes selfies in heaven and wishes us well on the road less traveled. He is now with Frost and Seamus. They can write their new poems in a better place and time. Thank you, Mark. Wherever you are, we appreciate it, and we do this in your name. So in order for us to honor you, we're going to start having the Andover High kids come up, these students, and the first one is going to be, as soon as I get this, is Charlotte Gutterman. Charlotte.
Hi there, I'm Charlotte. I'm a junior at Andover High. And do you still want me to do a couple?
Yeah, do it, yeah.
All right. So, this first one, there's a little backstory thing. Essentially, I wrote it because I came across this speech that Nixon's speechwriter wrote in case the first moon landing went badly. And I just thought that whole idea of like writing in preparation for disaster was really cool. So this is called In the Event of a Moon Disaster. Was there even an evacuation plan, or did everything run on that American flavor of rocket fuel hope, burning up and too soon for television broadcast to witness? On a dusty rock without fanfare, perhaps they would have breathed until there was no air, and they could only remove their helmets to feel the great blankness of stars on their eyelids once and forever, or maybe try to swim through the dark, parting the sky with thick, useless fingers, floating and falling back to land that will never be theirs. There are no funerals on the moon, no flags or speeches or processionals of moon men. There are no flowers, just static, blossoming in stutters. There are no graves, unless dug by the dead themselves. No music, just sifting grime, echoing like a legend that never was. All right, I have another. Can I adjust this a bit? This is called Tragedies of History and How to Write About Them. 1. Find blurry photographs first. This way, nothing will hurt as much when you can't distinguish faces or arms from legs. If this does not work, pretend you cannot recognize the dead. 2. Put these photographs in frames on your dresser or folded up in your suitcase with travel brochures and still warm shirts. Remember how your body warms, fills spaces up, snags itself on the edges of new photographs, still looks for empty spaces to travel, draw without looking onto your hand. Let the ink bleed out and stain from years forgotten. 3. Catch the ink on a page. Let it soak through and feed it more. Tragedy is mostly ravenous. Documentation is often hunger. Sop it up with your arms until the table is clean. Cry anyway. 4. Examine your papers with their dripping Rorschach until you cannot understand anything. 5. 6. 7. Hold your hands out like proof. Imagine yourself as a psychiatrist and evaluate the emotional functioning of time. Shout upwards, "What do you see?" as though anything will answer back, as though silence was ever acceptable. Thank you.
I believe, Charlotte, this is your third time you've performed. Very, very, very good. How about Alex Grimm? Why don't we come up here with Alex Grimm? A hand for Alex Grimm.
Hi, I'm Alex Grimm. I'm also a junior at Andover High School, and this is my poem Road Trip. Let's take a road trip together. I want to go far away, maybe even to outer space where we can race the stars across the night sky. I'll fly you around on clouds, drift soft on winds or burrow deep in the ground, a landmark unto myself. I'll show you my favorite places and kisses in the rain, point out the places that I have been and which ones I'd rather never see again. We'll sing songs like lullabies and drive the days away. The important part is that I'm with you, and my home is sitting in the seat next to me. If we get pulled over, remind me to get my head out of the clouds and watch my hands as they go near the seat. I'm only getting a wallet to show my ID, but we're in a white man's territory and they already follow me. Pull up beside the 7-Eleven to watch what I walk into. Convenience stores are on alert, and sometimes white people see our license plate and follow right behind. Tailgate up on my bumper until we leave their state lines and a little ways past that, too. Just ignore it, I know you'll say, but I'll make sure we make it safe to a nice hotel where we can stay. I'll get us a room on the 3rd floor, so I only have to watch the door. I won't sleep and you'll take the bed. And when you are well rested, we'll get in the car again. Drive into sunsets and great canyons and see all the things that make up the free land we're in, living with one eye scanning the horizon to see if we need to get on the road again. I'm double checking every blind spot for ghosts with pale skin, I guess. What I'm trying to say is that our freeways are an open range and I'm just standing in the way. You know what? I don't want to go on a road trip. Let's just stay inside where it's a bit safer. Alright. This is my second one. It's called Burnout. Midnight girl with her moonlight eyes. She shines colder than anything I've ever touched before. Her starlight shattered across the window pane like lightning withdrawals. This love is starting to feel like a red shift. You grow ever more distant, and yet here we are. Here we are with our two diverging futures, for we only stayed compatible for a red hot second. Never trust a love like fire. A love that can burn your palms and stain your soul a new color. A love like that can leave you only ashes with no phoenix, no recovery, no rebirth. This is our sunset. But sunrise will bring me a new day, a new lover, maybe, but I will be wary this time. This time I know I'm looking for the quiet, the one who can make time stop for an instant, can make the world slow, its relentless spinning, and sit like an old dog on the carpet so we never reach the next orange horizon. For now, I'll lay in the bed of my pickup, reach my hands up towards the stars I know, the stars that most likely exist no longer, and dream of a charcoal ember that won't burn out. Yep, I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright. And then my last one's called To My Little Girl. To my little girl, I know I only visit you on Saturdays or that occasional holiday, but know that I see you every day. You're the screensaver to my broken screen protector, and that photo is the first face I see every morning. To my little girl, I know I don't live nearly close enough. I wonder if you can still remember when Daddy went his way through another play date of playing your jungle gym. My arms were your pull-up bars. My shoulders were your swing set, and my chest was your favorite pillow to sleep on. You used to take my thumb in your entire hand, scale my bed, and climb into my arms. To my little girl, I know when I moved out of that house we shared, then sold, something changed. You weren't my happy little girl anymore. When your mother and I divided like salt and pepper, we threw everything you knew away and bought new things. Found new people. You were the only thing that rose from the ashes. To my little girl, I know you aren't my little girl anymore. You're a big girl now. And I've watched you grow up from far too far away through the lens of a Facebook page, and I doubt my Saturday visits will ever make up for all the time I've lost. I'm sorry, my little big girl. I've always told you I was one call away, but we both know that was never enough.
Excuse me, Joey, you get the audio okay? You're okay, even with the hum? All right. Thank you. I'm just blown away here tonight. All right, Sky, let's go. Sky Patarini, sophomore, Andover High School. All right, let's go.
Hi, I'm Sky, and as I said before, I'm a sophomore. So my first one is Her Eyes Are My Home. So this one also has a little bit of a backstory. It was my freshman year, and I was new to town in Andover, and my first writing sample in composition was a poem about what is home to you, and I wrote about my mom because she's someone who I miss very dearly, and I hold her to my heart. So here I go. Sunlight stretches its long fingers like rays through the window and the curtains, giving a sparkle to her chocolate brown eyes. In those eyes, she sees me as a reflection of her dark curly hair falling perfectly around her face, her dark red lipstick on her already rosy pink lips giving an accent to the small beauty mark on her upper lip, her trademark. She's always usually wearing her black short sleeve shirt, showing off her soft mocha skin, and the dark washed skinny jeans folded at her ankle, showing off gray Converse she wears on her more casual outings. I feel the warmth as I'm enveloped in an embrace. Her love is never ending, it emanates through her. Being held in this embrace, I am hit with a wonderful scent of her sweet smelling perfume. I can smell the perfume that I've become accustomed to, the one that lingers on her clothes and nearly everything in her bedroom. Being held so close, I can hear her rhythmic beating of her heart as her chest rises and falls. Her breathy, whispering voice, calming words. Everything will be okay. I love you. She looks at me and smiles. Her smile like a thousand stars in a constellation, and the sun just shines on them the right way. They say home is where the heart is, and sometimes it's just not a place, it's a pair of eyes, a roof over your head, and the love that someone gives to you. And my second one is called Relationships. My friends ask if I'm in love with him, and I say yes, but in all actuality, I think I'm in love with the idea of him versus the actual person. But maybe not. Feelings are confusing. My friends ask if I'm in love with her, and I reply yes because the idea of being with her seems nice. I like the idea of being in a relationship, but sometimes being tied down is just too much. 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 years, it's just too much, it's just excessive. Just one single person looking to be with you at every moment, liking or loving everything, showering you with compliments, it can be beautiful, but it's just too much. My friends ask if I'm in love with anyone, but being in love isn't enough to make me stay.
Thank you. Thank you, Sky. And how about my friend Elise Cabrera? Come on, Elise. Let's give a double round for Elise, let's give her a double round for her.
Hi guys, can you hear me? I'm sick, sorry. So I'm not a poet, but to honor this event, this is something I came up on the spot. And this poem is called Over, just a general description of what sadness feels. So, tears, you feel attacked, but what about her when you put her through that crap? She's not out for vengeance, but her anger is building tension. Your words stinging like snake venom. Her fingers tearing through her denim. But oh wait, it's just a dream. Ideal fantasies leaning against a balcony. Losing all her sanity, lost faith in humanity. Closed mind, no mentality, closed eyes, she's getting panicky, palms sweaty, you know how that goes. Weak smile, no hope, no one's watching. Legs itching to just go. This idea was better than pill popping, mind boggling, life toppling over, it's a domino effect. Just one drop and she'll be like the rest, a statistic. At least it'll be more realistic than what she's ever experienced. But she clenches her fists, tears falling, heart aching, breathtaking, and she's praying for the day when it gets better, when it's over. Okay, I have one more. This is also something I had in composition. So just a quick background. It's just a compilation of quotes that I had from one book, and I just put them together in one poem. So, prime numbers are what is left when all the patterns are taken away. Like life, you cannot seem to work out the rules, no matter how rational it is. Like a ball that has been thrown into the air, then it will come to a halt. Then begin to fall towards the center of the universe. There will be nothing to stop us from seeing all the stars, because they will be moving faster and faster. We will know that the world will end soon, because when you look up into the night sky, there will be no darkness. Just the blazing light of billions and billions of stars all falling. And even then, everything makes you feel so small. And if you have difficult problems in life, it's easy to say they don't matter. So small you don't have to take them into account. But when stars begin to cease to exist, you realize that is reality. That's it.
I'm just so pleased. Like I said at the beginning, if we just listen to what these students have to say, we'll learn a lot about our country. We'll learn a lot if you just listen. How about Eric Pellerin, teacher extraordinaire? Would you come up, Eric?
All right. This first one I wrote right after the election. It's called Teleportation. Thinking of those movies, The Fly, the one with Vincent Price, and then the one with Seth Brundle, Jeff Goldblum. Teleportation. I often think of scientist Seth Brundle, while actor Jeff Goldblum buzzing 15 feet across the floor from one telepod to another. He did it to avoid driving, flying, no more air sick, car sick, train sick, sea sick, bicycle sick. To avoid travel, by teleporting oneself as fast as one can, avoiding the tedium of getting there. Of course, his particles mutate, and he is not alone in his cocoon. There is a fly in there. It eats refuse, feces, unmentionables, fuses in his DNA. Help me, help me, help me. Once thought separate, now they are becoming. No longer what he imagined himself to be, he is repulsed, yet stronger. Then there is time travel. Going back, fixing things, making things right. It never works, does it? I mean, deciding what is right, what needs fixing. In the movies, it's always an event, saving Kennedy, stopping John Wilkes Booth, telling Oppenheimer to get another hobby, or killing Hitler. Yet, it always turns out the same, doesn't it? We step out of the time machine to find a future more dystopian, always an aftermath, and we are alone. Why? Because we did not want to do the work, the long drive toward understanding how we got here, who we are, that we must teleport through the recesses of our minds to go to that place long ago when we were all one consciousness, to look at oneself. Now that would be a great scientific discovery. Thank you. One of my students from the last few years was a wonderful spoken word poet, and he sort of challenged me to try one. So, using that style, this is called White People Can't Dance. White people can't dance. Watch them try, though. They cannot hear music. They make rhyme and rhythm and white blues, merely repeating Motown songs, slave songs drowned out through olive presses, until the juice loses richness, complexity through years of sitting in oak barrels, waiting for a chance to see the light of day. To breathe, it is crushed, no longer resembling grapes, Pinot, or Sauvignon. It is only water now. There is no way to get drunk on Manilow or Maroon 5. They say that moves like Jagger. They do, just without the swagger of a James Brown. They prefer an Elvis impersonating, forgetting Muddy Waters in a bar saloon. Billie Holiday singing for a fix. Ray Charles before Pepsi ads without a remix. They cannot dance. They cannot move forward. You have to know how to look back, step. To hear, they do not know how to listen. They press on, sung by their own. They claim it as their own, forgetting the pain they caused to create it, apply it to petty problems, give themselves Grammys, give it to Beatles, give it to Buddy Holly and Crickets, give it to Taylors Swiftly who look like their daughters. No, they are not ready. I don't think they're ready for this jelly. They can't handle jazz unless it's Nora Jones blasting from ceiling speakers at Starbucks, sipping coffee with too much cream, drowning out the flavor with white liquids, whipped Americans dream without brown sugar cane, unable to open their eyes, they sip. They can swallow NYC in the key of Alicia Keys. They choke on Jay-Z. They, just like the chorus, ignore the verse which describe the why NYC is the place to be, and not just the Upper East Side near Sex and the City among Charlottes and Samanthas. What about Detroit or Chicago? Need to channel Gladys, Aretha, Ella, or go further back to Ghana. Gonna make you sweat, so get up, move. Sing it in rounds and move your feet, white people, into someone else's shoes. Let someone else do the stomping and trace the steps, created from a world that offered only pain by those who cannot hear the music. Songs about you, songs about me. Thank you.
How's everybody doing so far? How about my buddy Bill Heck? Bill's a special needs teacher up at the high school. He has so much compassion and love for these students. I just can't explain how proud I am to even know him as a friend. Good job, Bill. All right.
Bill.
He's a great guy.
Not entirely sure how to follow that introduction. Happy Tuesday. This is like one of the first poems I wrote. I read it a couple years ago here, but it seemed particularly pertinent. It's called Fundamentalism. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want anything except for you to believe in my word of God. Judge not, lest ye be judged. However, you shall be judged because you do not conform to my interpretations of stories, of histories, of belief. Good job.
Okay. I'd like to bring a special guest tonight, Yulisa Nunez, who's a teacher at Lawrence High School. She was an award-winning teacher. The mayor recognized her last year as being an up-and-coming teacher, and she's a great friend of us at Dawn's Auto Care, and Yulisa's here to do a poem. Thank you, Yulisa.
Hi everyone. I would like to bring you back to 2012 to an infamous headline. So crime is soaring, schools are failing, and government has lost control. And Lawrence, the most godforsaken place in Massachusetts, has never been in worse shape. My poem is titled Damned. D-A-M-N-E-D. I am not damned. I am empowered. You see, my superpower is teaching. I use every single fiber in my being to mold youth into confident, resilient young men and women who you can't hold back by saying they're from the so-called damn city of promise. I am not damned. I'm motivated. I'm from undercover dreamers and believers fighting each and every single day to educate our youth on how to move mountains and be themselves. Because there's nothing worse than a person who falls for anything because they don't stand for nothing. I am not damned. I am neglected. I didn't always see myself as a proud product of Lawrence, hiding in the dark, suppressing all feelings and emotions because nobody would understand or cared enough to know. I am not damned. I'm driven. I wear my heart on my sleeves like Wheezy. I no longer hide by shine bright because mommy said, echa pa'lante, Julissa, sin miedo, porque así es la vida. I am not damned. I'm diverse. I used to say I'm not supposed to be a teacher though, because teachers don't look like me with my golden brown skin, curly hair, not to mention the fact that I'm a gay female. And I may have my low income first generation college graduate credentials, but that doesn't mean that I'm damned. I'm actually adverse, you see, because now I teach. I teach students to not limit themselves because of who they are or who they think they should be. I teach students who look like me and aspire to do great things, like teach. I used to see a world that had no place for me, but now I know better.
Wow. I hope everybody shares my opinion that this tonight's just overwhelming, isn't it? Let's have a round of applause for everyone so far. Like I said, if we listen, we'll gain a lot. Okay, I'm taking a big chance here. Dan Rice from Dawn's Auto Care. He's one of our poets over there, so he's going to do one of Mark Shaw's poems from Song of My Selfies. It's a short poem, and it was Mark's last book, and I'm sure he'll be honored if Dan will do it for us for Dawn's Garage. Okay, Dan? Dan Rice. Okay, do a good job.
Fourth red nearly square, all pegs in there in the mood, to perfect attitude, and nearly standing there, old three-legged chair, with one leg out to beg. But not quite there, and now one of them gone, who knows where, and other hardly there, and no one can go home. Hearts or ladder ever get better.
Great job. Great job, Daniel. And now we're going to have another friend of ours from Dawn's Auto Care, Louise Hart. Louise Hart's in the back there. Louise Hart just came out with a brand new cookbook that's going to be on sale at the garage. So Dawn covers all the bases now. He's putting out cookbooks, and she's going to put out a book of poetry soon, and she's going to honor us with a poem or two tonight. How's that, Louise? Let's hear it for Louise Hart.
Thank you very much. It's good to see so many people for poetry. I've done readings at times because I was born in Lawrence. I was poet laureate of Greater Lawrence, and I've been writing poetry in Lawrence since I was 4 years old, and I will not tell you how long ago that was. However, I am a published author and poet. My first love is poetry. I've also been an executive, head of a company in any kind of technical field, made who's who in computers, which when I started in the computer field, I was a computer phobic. But if you set your mind to it, as the teacher would tell you, and I taught at Lawrence High as well, you can do anything. I had thought for tonight, since I grew up in Lawrence, the subject of poetry for a Lawrencian who grew up here, inner city, is different than it is for those in suburbia. I got very well aware of that when I had to do a poetry reading last week on peace. And what we see as peace and what they see as peace are very, very different from one another. This one actually reflects something that happened here in Lawrence. And it's probably the saddest part of growing up inner city. Lawrence has changed greatly, and yet not at all. And it is a place of great depth, culture, acceptance of one another, and tragedy. They all are commingled here in a very small space, less than 6 square miles. This one was called I Never Knew Her Name. I never knew her name. I never heard it shouted, spoken, whispered, called out, identified, or acknowledged. Not once, though many seemed to know who she was. They had seen her daily. Some had spoken with her. Some admired her sense of responsibility, her stoic long-suffering, her loving care of her younger sibling, her loyalty to her mother, her best friend. She told them she wanted to grow up to be just like her. She would never do that now, of course. Everyone about her lowered their heads out of grief, sadness, reverence for a little angel, a child no longer. Each onlooker silently said a prayer, stood like a military honor guard. None dared approach her still body lying where it fell, crushed by a speeding car that never stopped. The driver never came forward, inquired, or sought to know the little girl's name. No witness came forward or sought to know her name. Though I cried for her, felt her loss, I too never knew her name. That little girl died on the railroad tracks on Andover Street. And it took then 45 minutes for the ambulance to come for her. And I did write about her. The poem, by the way, that recently was considered one of the winners at the Peace Contest at Northern Essex. It was called A Mother's Chastening. No, no, gay men. Not our young sailors, not our young women, not our young men. No, no, not again, gay men. No, no, Israel. Not another Palestinian child, not a grieving father crying, not innocents caught in crossfire. No, no, Palestine. Not young street soldiers, not Israel's young men, not more blood-soaked hands waving. No, no, not again, Palestine. In death there is no glory, only endings, lives cut short, possibilities ended, violence triumphant, savage souls consuming reason, regurgitating chaos, unleashing fear again. That actually is a peace poem, and it's in the mother's voice, because war is insane. And at some point we have to realize maybe we need to treat them as though they were insane, killing one another and killing others. Thank you very much.
You sure? Come on, come on, come on.
I'm not. She's sister.
Oh, all right.
A sister supporter.
A sister supporter, all right. Look, we could go on here and just do poems all night. I mean, I think Mark would be pleased. Let's have a round of applause for everyone who performed tonight so far. We certainly want to have time for the local poets and the Robert Frost poets to do their poems. I'm looking forward to hearing them. But once again, you know, Mark and Dawn and everybody here on the board, the whole point of this is to listen to what people have to say. I think as a country we stopped listening a long time ago. But tonight at Cafe Azteca, I think all of us listened. So thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to Jim. And we'll go on and thank you, everyone who performed tonight. Thank you so much.
So now we have the open mic. Anyone else want to sign up? All right. So first up, we have Kennedy.
can just.
Do you have a mic on there? Is that mic working? On the camera?
This first poem is called Wow. There was a moment that isn't.
That isn't cause, it ain't.
A hopeless moment, no hope moment, no hoping for moment. Happy, hapless, helpless, not holding on, letting go, blackless moment.
Not needing how, better it will be tomorrow. No furrowed brow, cross-eyed spied on, cross-legged frowned on. No need, it is better anywhere moment.
'Cause it ain't.
Wow, 'cause it is the moment was. Wow.
Nothing else. No politics, no bombs, no planning strategy, preparing rhapsodies, no pastime, no next time, no present tense.
Present arms at ease, moment.
No be here now when you can make it. No be here now if you can't make it. No if you can't make it. No crossed fingers.
No waiting in line, no wishing on a star, no bones. No wait until your daddy gets home, no wait until your guard gets home, no time even. Wow!
No wow, this is a wow of a moment.
Wow! No can get it back, no how get it back even, no now of wow, no wow of how.
No wow of pow, 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 boom. No powwow, no peace, no regret, no hope, no need, no satisfaction even.
'Cause it ain't. There was a wow, and it went away. And if that going away has been, can the next time a wow, oh, that howling, wowing, and endless it be? Wow.
This next poem, we did not write.
No, this next poem is written by Helena Minton.
She gave us the poem a month ago and wanted us to do something with it. And this is what we did.
This is what we do.
Begins with an epigram. I just dropped in to find out what condition my condition was in. By Nikki Newberry.
Did you know my situational ethics fled my unconditional love with my current commitment condition?
Or
Mint.
I can't tell you how conditioned I am to the state of my state. Let in deplorable condition and waiting to be returned in the same condition in which you found me.
On one condition, I can tell you why I'm out of condition.
On
Considering all I put into laying out my conditions for you.
Can you see how consulting my bellwether condition has worn out my welcome condition?
Perhaps you will find my condition in
The camera
the office of
on no condition
the Chamberlain, the only one in the air-conditioned room who is bilingual.
a firm condition of its contrary.
And if my condition can't reach into the farthest corner of his conditional subjunctive, who cares in a fit of proper state of condition,
I can see you are in no condition to drop.
tell me how you arrived here in that condition, and I will leave you my fragile grasp of Spanish conditional,
My hot, sick heart.
my skinny, unconditioned skin.
Help me iron out my wrinkles,
Dear,
dilettante condition.
Pop quiz. How many conditions? Anybody? You weren't counting. All right. Next, the rising sun of New England, Ray Landry.
Okay, thanks, Jim. I am a self-proclaimed legend. I wrote one 20th century poetry book and one 21st century poetry book. My 20th century book is entitled Growing into Immaturity, and the subtitle is Vignettes of Useless Wisdom. And if anybody can find any wisdom in the poem I'm about to read, then perhaps you should be sent for further testing. I'm not sure about that. No, anyway. Wasn't the full moon beautiful last night? Oh my God. Are there any other lunatics in this place besides me? Oh, good. Oh, wasn't it beautiful last night? Just absolutely phenomenal. Okay, anyway, the first poem I'd like to read is let's see, what is today, May 9th? This is a May 3rd poem, but I figure it's close enough. This one's entitled Peaks Island, May 3rd. Peaks Island is about 4 miles off the coast of Portland. It's just a beautiful place. Peaks Island, May 3rd. South side, summer. North side, winter. Lake-like calm, whitecaps. Bird calls, clear though distant. Waves smashing rocks near and far. Warm, almost burning sun, shivering cold blasts. What besides main islands can so instantaneously encircle humanity? The ocean rings the island, while the island rings our lives. Walk the whole perimeter, feel the total gift as time advances towards the solstice and sun recedes to evening mist. Thank you. Really, walking around that island on May 3rd, I don't know how well I got this across in the poem, but I really experienced 3 different seasons. It's just phenomenal. New England is a beautiful place. For the next one, I'm moving only about 5,164 and 2/3 miles away to Japan, where I had the privilege of living for 5 years back in ancient times, long before most of your parents were born. But anyway, the title of this is Yoshimine. And I haven't read this poem for a long, long time because I haven't been there for a long time. But Yoshimine is a beautiful temple set into the mountains near the city of Kyoto. And it was hardly known by anyone except for the native people who live fairly close to it, because it's a little bit difficult to get to. But then the Japan National Railroad monthly magazine did a story on it, and it really became quite a tourist attraction. But it's a beautiful place, and I can just feel it now. So I'm going to read this poem. Just one thing though, at the very, very end, I refer to Basho and the Sumida River. Basho is Japan's most famous poet, 17th century poet, and he lived part of his life in a very small hut, something like Henry David Thoreau's, but a little bit bigger, near the Sumida River. And there today, you can visit this place. It's called the Basho Kinenkan, the Basho Memorial. And it just, a beautiful blend with nature in a city of about 11.5 million people. So anyway, here we go. Yoshimine. Is this a shrine, a temple, or a park? The Westerner asks. Is this Shinto or Buddhist? What do the symbols mean? Whom does this place commemorate? Who can answer these questions? The atmosphere, the unobtrusive structures, the gong, the blooming plum blossoms, the totally bare cherry blossom trees, the panoramic view, mountains on the other side of the city, contemporary high-rises of Kyoto, slate roofs of many colors, sky, clouds, sun, all of Yoshimine removed yet intimate, not embracing all, mingling with all, not looming over the city, but one with Kyoto's lifeblood, one with the surroundings below, even above. Yoshimine gently beckons the essence of the soul of life. The long walk, the steep climb, the panorama blend into life's subdued rhythm. Even the Westerner will not utter awesome or spectacular. Even the Westerner stops asking questions. Even the Westerner is subdued, silent, touched, pensive, empty. Deeply and vitally do not capture the experience. We need call up the spirits of Walden, of Afton, of Amherst, of the Sumida River of Basho. Thank you very much. By the way, I did live there in the late 60s for 5 years, but from the year 2000 until now, really, I've run exchange programs and taken people back and forth there. So I saw Yoshimine for the first time myself about 5 years ago. I was asked to deliver a poem celebrating teaching. I taught for only 42 years, or I tried to teach for only 42 years. But anyway, I wrote this one quite a while ago. This one is entitled The Alibi. It's a very short poem, don't worry. It's entitled The Alibi, and the subtitle is A Teacher Upon Hearing the Excuse that a Student was Food Poisoned by Her Mother. Now, what's scary about this poem is that it's true, that actually happened. A student I had who was, very good, getting B's, B pluses, but I thought very good, quite a writer, definitely a candidate for the AP class. She took the midterm and got a 66. So, I talked to her and I said, look, I'll gladly recommend you for the AP class. This was years ago when I taught at North Reading High School. I said, I'd gladly recommend you for the AP class, but, you'll have to hold a lot of material together and that might be difficult. And she said to me, she said, Mr. Landry, you know why this happened? I said, no, why? She said, well, my mother food poisoned me. And I was just astounded. I'd heard so many excuses in all those years of teaching, and I get this one, my mother food poisoned me. And then I found out later on it was true. Okay, not intentionally, I'm sure. But anyway, here we go. The Alibi. A teacher upon hearing the excuse that a student was food poisoned by her mother. My printer broke. The dumb inkjet ran out. I hurt my hand. My book was lost, no doubt. The baby burped. The spray o'erspread the cradle. My homework lay nearby on the table. For 40 years I listened to these tales. For 40 years I've heard these moans and wails. It's time for me to give some of it back. I think I'll stay at home and smoke some crack. I'm too young to smoke.
All right. So next we have Jessica.
Hi. So let me first off start by saying thank you guys from Andover High for coming every time you come. It's a great, we always hear great poems. And then you inspire other students from Andover High to come because they think if you can do it, they can do it too. With that being said, my name is Jessica Sanchez. I am proud to be from Lawrence. I'm a board member of the Robert Frost Foundation. And tonight, since we're doing this poetry reading in honor of Mark, I am going to read a poem of his that he wrote to his wife. Well, 2 poems that he wrote to his wife. I would like to say he is the most loving man I have ever met in my life. He met me at a time in my life when I wasn't at my best, and he mentored me and guided me and helped me become who I am today. So I would like to let Mark know that we know he's here with us tonight. With that being said, I'm going to start with the poem he wrote entitled Traces. Natalie, this morning I put my unfeeling hand along your back, tracing the way between your opera and your bourse. I found your arcades and their source, then, afternoon, followed their art. I took a very different way into the galleries of your heart. In finding them, I stayed all day. From there, I became Orpheus, and I forgot to trace the way I came, finding only your gardens of jazz, never sounding exactly the same. Natalie, I called Paris by your name. And then this one, he read this on Valentine's Day, and he must have read this poem a couple times. He also wrote this poem to his wife. It's about the first time they met. The water at Salisbury Beach was cold, and the Tripoli pizza was eaten in such haste that we could scarcely wait to consummate a love we somehow knew would not grow old. Even now, with flannel trousers rolled, I wonder how we knew then, as we raced that afternoon, how love led to a place as sacred as Ganges, but also to a time-bound make-or-break harbor. Perhaps it was something in the sun and water that told us about the life to come. Perhaps the perfect afternoon waves and fun told us about the son and daughter. However they told us, we were there finding how the coldest water warms the air.
I thought I'll just throw in about, when people ask you where poetry comes from, sometimes I say it's like, life is the chicken and, experience is the roast and the stuff that sticks onto the pan, that's poetry. So. Anyway, but I did another little thing. I was standing in one of these mill buildings before they renovated them. Thoughts fly through me, swallows passing through broken windows of a building. I write them down before they fly away, make them land in the rafters. Then I spend my days cleaning the floor under them. And next, we may or may not have 1 or 2 people. One of them would be Sarah. You're going to do one after her? Okay, it's either both or neither. They're in.
This is a riddle. In the Keld above a vale, where wind's whistling comes to fail, and set beneath the sylvan thatch, the bower's edged a moonlit patch. Now approach of stirring night comes black-clad sylph into the light, pausing, raising her arms so poisingly she draws her bow, releasing into waiting shade, into forest's thickest glade, and piercing woodland to and fro, so precisely from her bow. The shots ring out and ricochet between the trees, and then they fade. The forest ringing high and low, the sylph is madly at her bow. The sylph, now done, gives night a nod. With rush of wind, the trees applaud. Pausing in what moonlight lent, then black-clad sylph, as came, so went. Our forest sylph was born akin to Mother Leto's gifted twin, and isn't what she seems to be. The Keld riddle is that mystery. Thank you.
Sarah has many different personas. I think that's like a channeling Wordsworth or something. So, and we have Marilyn.
I'm not a poet, my daughter is, but I've been inspired by all my visits with you wonderful folks at the Cafe Azteca. And one of my visits here actually wrote a poem about being here. So it's called On the Outside Knitting In. On the needles, colorful yarn, warm, coarse wool. On the walls, glazed stucco, shiny, smooth, cool. The vibrant colors of my shawl echoed on each wall. They make poetry happen as I knit myself a wall.
Last call for any stragglers? Anybody? Got something you wrote on your palm of your hand or notebook? All right, that would be it then. Thank you. And we'll be back June 13th at Lawrence High School.